Do you know there's a single word that when it's properly understood, it changes everything? You're going to find this word in the Bible, you're going to find it in the New Testament, the Old Testament, you're going to find it in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Quran, in the Torah, you're going to find it in all the good psychology books. The word is belief. Do you know, one of the earliest psychologists in America, William James, he said, believe and your belief will actually create the fact. And we've heard all things are possible for the person who believes. Well, Napoleon Hill wrote about this. He said there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. Now, he said no one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish. Now, he said open-mindedness is essential to belief. Closed minds will not inspire faith, courage, or belief. And then he followed up by saying, remember, no more effort is required in order to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. Now let me take you back to the first line in that quote of Hill's. He said there's a difference between wishing for something and being ready to receive it. No one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish. Now, I found that a pretty interesting word. You see, prior to ever getting into any Napoleon Hill stuff, I had absolutely no belief in me. But in a relatively short period of time, over 2 or 3 years, my income went from $4,000 a year to over $1 million. How did that happen? Well, it took me 9 years to figure it out. My belief system was changed. Now, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. You will never go beyond where you believe you can go. What do you believe you can do? This is an interesting word. Now, the more you study you, the more you understand you, the more you're going to believe you can do. Think of this for a moment. Do you know the electrical system in your body would make the electrical system in a supercomputer look like an absolute toy? The blood that circulates through your body, it circulates through hundreds of miles of passageway. Every 33 seconds, it carries all the food in and all the garbage out in one sweeping change. Now, you've probably never spent any time thinking about that, but think about it for a moment. Do you know that your brain is an electronic switching station? Every cell has both a negative and a positive pole. That's based on the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite. You activate brain cells and set up a vibration in your body. If you activate the negative pole in any cell, you're going to move yourself into a negative vibration. And by virtue of just flipping over to the positive pole, you move into a positive vibration. Keep going. Stop and ask yourself, what happens when you cut your hand? It heals, doesn't it? Who heals it? The doctor doesn't heal. The healing power is within. You've got an ingenious system built within you to keep your body in excellent working order. And yet you'll find people don't believe in themselves. I didn't believe in myself. Why? Because I didn't understand myself. I understood very little. I thought I was my name. I thought I was this body. You're not your body. You moved into your body, you're going to move out of it. Your name is something you were given. You can change it. Now there's a very powerful word, praxis. P-R-A-X-I-S. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. Now let me repeat that. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. Do you know that you will find all kinds of people say, yes, I believe that, and their behavior would indicate they've never heard of it. I have come to the conclusion that we've got belief on 2 levels. We've got a belief in our educated mind based on logic, based on what we see and the information we gather. But then we've got belief on a very deep level, on a subconscious level that controls our behavior. It's part of the paradigm. Do you know that most of your beliefs you did not originate yourself? They were passed along in the genes. It's part of your conditioning. Strange, isn't it? Now think about that for a moment. You'll hear people say, well, I believe that, but they don't really believe it. We have a plan of what we're going to do in a company. We sit around and we may spend a lot of time designing this, and if one person doesn't believe it, that's an anchor on that team. We've got to get everybody to believe it. We've got everybody believe that we can do something. When we've got a team, I don't care if it's a team of executives or a team of laborers, if there's somebody that doesn't believe in the concept they're working with, they're going to hold everything back. We've got to spend some time making certain everybody believes on an emotional level what we're talking about. We've got to practice this word, praxis. We've got to begin to integrate some of our beliefs with our behavior. I used to say, I believe I can do better, but I never did better. What happened? Yeah, I believe I can do this, but my behavior would indicate that I couldn't do it. You know? I believe I can earn this, go here, go there. I never did it. Why? You see, on a conscious level, on a logical level, we can sit down, we can think it through, and we say, yeah, I could do that. But that isn't the part we're working with. We talk about that in the knowing-doing gap. See, the knowing part of your mind, you might know you might believe you can do it there. You could ask yourself, do I believe it on a gut level? Do I believe it deep in my psyche? Because if we don't, we've got to change that part of the paradigm. The beautiful truth is, no one knows what you're capable of doing. The most erudite scientist alive will not even guess at what you and I are capable of doing. We've got more power in our little finger than would be required to light up this entire building for nearly a week. There's about 11 million kilowatt hours per pound potential energy locked up in the electrons in the atoms of our body. We're a walking mass of power. Yet you'll hear people say, I don't have any energy. What they should say is, I don't have any desire. Person says, I believe I can do better. Do they really believe? Let's take this word praxis and get some study groups going. Get some mastermind groups going in the company, in your social life, in your family. Let's ask ourselves, what do I believe I'm capable of doing? Because the truth is, you can do anything, but you've got to believe it. If you don't believe it, it isn't going to happen. What did Napoleon Hill say? He said, there's a difference between wishing for something and being ready to receive it. No one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish. Now he says, open-mindedness is essential to belief. Why did he say that? Well, because a closed mind won't accept an idea that they're not familiar with. He said, closed minds will not accept the idea. They just won't. You see, you've got to keep your mind open. When your mind is closed and an idea comes along, if it doesn't fit, we reject it. Have you any idea the number of ideas that we have rejected in our life? Ideas that could be very transformational, that could give us everything we've ever wanted? You know, if you were to look on my website, I have a statement there. It says, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. Do you know why? It's all by law. This whole universe operates by law. You might have seen The Secret. I quoted Dr. Werner von Braun on The Secret. He said that the natural laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty building spaceships. We can literally send people to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. The laws are very important. We want to gain an understanding of laws. See, our mind operates by law. The thoughts that we internalize set up the vibration. The vibration causes the action causes the reaction. It's the action-reaction that creates the result. Belief. You've got to believe it can be done, but you've got to get everybody on the team believing it. Because if there's one or two that don't, you've got to drag them along, and that causes a lot of extra work. Hill said, remember, it takes no more effort in order to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. Let's make certain when we set the goals, we set them high. And let's internalize that until we've got a belief on a subconscious level. It's buried right into our paradigm. Praxis and belief, two very important words. Believe and succeed. All things are possible if you believe. What did William James say? Believe, and your belief will create the fact. And praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. Put it to work. You'll like it. Believe it.
Napoleon Hill said, "No one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish." That's what praxis is all about, integrating belief with behavior. The truth is, you can do anything, but you've got to believe it. If you don't believe it, it's going to be a struggle to make it happen. This lesson may have made the biggest difference for me. I had to look really hard to see my limiting beliefs because they were buried really deep. So have a look. What are your limiting beliefs? What's holding you back? Look really carefully. The exercises in your guide will help you, and they'll help your team too put this lesson into action and achieve your quantum leap. This is Sandy Gallagher welcoming you back into Thinking into Results. So how's your outlook today? Good, I hope. I trust you're ready to learn more successful tactics on producing results. With today's lesson, we're going to investigate how your attitude can be your compass for getting the results you want. You can choose which direction to take your mind, positive or negative. It's your choice. I really love this lesson, and it's made a really big difference in my life. Bob keeps telling me that I have a great attitude, and that's why I'm so successful. But you know, it's because I always look for the beauty in the contrast. If I don't like something I'm experiencing, then I reach for something that feels better, and it works wonders. Really, it does. Attitude alone, of course, won't get you the results that you want. You have to have the requisite skill and talent for sure. But if you don't have a good attitude, the skill and talent won't get you there. Many people don't realize that. Bad attitude, bad results. I don't care how talented you are. Listen to this quote. "Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude." That was Thomas Jefferson. When you have a team with a good attitude, and you have a team with the requisite ability and creativity, few things are more powerful. So let's check in with Bob and learn more about the attitudes that start a flow of energy that influences everything we do.
Hello there again. Now, remember I told you that the most valuable idea I had ever learned was the stick person? I want to review that. I don't think you can go over it too often. I've been going over it a number of times every day now for many, many years, probably longer than you've been living. And it's the repetition that develops the conscious awareness in our mind. The stick person is really the genie. I think I've already mentioned that. But the more you get to know this, the more you understand it, the more you're going to realize just what an absolute genie it really is. Now remember, the top circle is the mind, and the bottom one is the body. The body is the instrument of the mind. It does exactly what the mind tells it to do. You see, if you look at your body in a very simple manner, your body is a molecular structure. It's a mass of energy, and it's in a very high speed of vibration. Well, your mind is what activates brain cells. The brain cell is the electronic switching station, and it determines what vibration you're in. Now, we're going to lead this right into attitude, because attitude is, without question, everything. It was William James that said the greatest discovery of his generation was that human beings could alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. You know, to really understand what attitude is, we must understand the stick person. So let's take another look at it. Remember, we said the top half of this large circle is the conscious mind. That is also the thinking mind, so focus in on it for a moment. It's sometimes referred to as the educated mind. This is where our intellectual factors are resident. This is also where our sensory factors are hooked up. As you see these little antennae sticking up there, you can hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. And they're the highways that hook you up to your outside world. They can be a blessing and a curse, I think was the way Moses put it. You see, we take a look at what's going on around us because we're a part of this outside world, but we don't want to let it control us. We want to control it. And we do control it if we understand how the mind functions. If we don't, we will probably become the plaything for what is going on around us. Now, your conscious mind can gather information from outside, but it also has the ability to originate information. See, there's a power flowing to and through you. I refer to that as pure unadulterated spirit. The scientist would tell you it's energy, but it flows to and through you. And as it flows into your consciousness, it is either negative or positive. Now, these two little symbols, the minus and the plus sign, they represent the law of polarity. And the law of polarity said everything has an opposite. There's a positive and a negative pole, and you have to have both to have anything. It's the inside, the outside, the up, the down, the hot, the cold, the yin, the yang. You see, when this power flows into you, it just is. We make it what it is. We're going to make it negative or we're going to make it positive by virtue of the thoughts that we choose. Now, your educated mind has the ability to think. Here's something else that you want to focus on. Your conscious mind also has the ability to reject. It can accept or reject. So as ideas and information comes into our consciousness, we have the ability to determine whether we want to accept it, whether we want to let that be a part of our life. Do you know, we frequently watch the television or listen to the radio or look at the newspaper, and they'll tell us the economy is going to be bad. Do you want it to be bad? If you don't want it to be bad, just reject that idea. You see, in the very worst economy, there's been people experience a great economy. During the Great Depression of the 30s, there was people earning millions of dollars. Not everyone succumbed to what was going on outside, and you don't have to either. When someone shares something with you that's negative, it could be real and it could be right. Get rid of it. Don't entertain it. Don't internalize it. See, the conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject. There's a cute little concept that I've been using for years. When someone comes up to you at work and brings something up that's negative, and it could be real and it could be right, but it's not doing anybody any good, just say, that's interesting, and then change the subject. Don't get caught up in it. Just say, that's interesting, and then go ahead and change the subject. And flip over to something positive. Talk about the person you're talking to. Talk about something they do well, and they'll flip over to that in a heartbeat. So do you see, the conscious mind has the ability to originate ideas. It has the ability to originate thought. It has the ability to accept or reject. Now let's go to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind does not have that ability. Your subconscious mind is totally deductive. In other words, it can only accept. It cannot reject. And it accepts everything that comes to it as real. Think about that for a moment. It has no ability to reject. Play with this for a moment. Just mentally relax. Build a real beautiful picture on the screen of your conscious mind. It could be from the past or it could be something you think is going to happen in the future. Just close your eyes and let yourself get emotionally involved. And you know something? Your subconscious mind will take it and accept it as if it's happening right now. Because the truth is, in your mind, it is happening right now. See, in the mind, that's all you've got is now. And your subconscious mind will accept whatever you give to it. It'll accept it as real. It has no ability to differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. You know, if you get involved in what's called imagined reality, it's a beautiful concept. You're turning your world into something that you want it to be right now. Now, some people say that's not being realistic, but it got us to the moon. It built the internet for us. It got Hillary to the top of Mount Everest. It put the Wright brothers in the air. So do you see, if your next door neighbor laughs at it, just go ahead and let them laugh and say, that's interesting. But realize, your subconscious mind will accept whatever you give to it. Now let's put the two of them together. Here we are on a conscious level. We've got the ability to take this power that flows into our conscious mind and build whatever we want out of it. Or We have the ability to just accept ideas that come in from the outside world, reason with them, and say, that's good, and accept that. And then we can turn that image over to our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind accepts it as real. And whatever is impressed upon the subconscious mind controls the vibration of the body. So your mind-body is going to be in a vibration that is dictated by the ideas that you impress upon your subconscious mind. Negative idea, you're going to move into a bad vibration. Positive idea, you'll instantly move into a positive vibration. Now get this. If you are mentally and physically in a bad vibration, that's all you can attract to you. Do you know in that hit runaway movie, The Secret, they talk about the law of attraction. And the way it's talked about, it sounds like it's a primary law. It really isn't. It's a secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. See, the vibration you're in is going to dictate what you attract. Vibration is the law of the universe. That law states that everything moves, nothing rests. We literally live in an ocean of motion. Now, when you take a positive idea and internalize that, you move into a positive vibration, and you begin to attract like energy to you. You will attract people that are in a positive vibration, conditions, circumstance. It just happens that way. Now, this is where you literally control you. Now, I quoted William James earlier, where William James said that the greatest discovery of his generation was that human beings could alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Do you know, Viktor Frankl was a Viennese psychiatrist that spent the war years in a Nazi concentration camp. And he said this was the last of human freedoms, is that we had the ability to choose. And he said in the worst circumstance, we can choose meaning, and we can see meaning to life. Now think about that. Regardless of the intellectual or physical abuse that man was subjected to, he had the ability to hold a positive idea on the screen of his mind. No one can cause you to think something you don't want to think. And you have the freedom to think anything you want to think. That's where a person is truly born free. We are the only creature, so far as we know, in all of the universe that can think. Certainly in this world, you have the ability to think. Thinking is the highest function of which you're capable. And it's the thought you think that control your feelings. And your feelings control your actions. Now let's think of what attitude is. Do you know, Earl Nightingale created a program many years ago that I truly love called Lead the Field. And the very first message in the Lead the Field program was called the magic word. And the magic word was attitude. And it truly is the magic word. You see, your attitude is going to determine where you go in life. It's everything. It's the foundation of either failure or success. Bad attitude, bad results. Good attitude, good results. Now, your attitude is a difficult thing for most people to define. You go and ask 100 people what attitude is, and they'll stare into space and they'll give you an answer. But they probably won't give you the same answer as the person you just asked. I'm going to give you the answer of what it really is. Attitude is the composite of our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. I always say it's much like a cake. If you sat down in a person's home and they gave you a piece of cake, you wouldn't say, hey, that's great flour, good spice. You'd say, that's good cake. Now, what is the cake? The cake is the composite of a number of different ingredients all brought together, and we call it a cake. Well, you see, attitude is the composite of a number of things brought together. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your attitude. You see, your thoughts, feelings, and attitude is an energy that you send off into the universe. And whatever you send off into the universe is what's going to come back to you. As a matter of fact, it comes back while you're sending it out. You see, nature abhors a vacuum. You concentrate on a positive idea, you activate positive polarity on cells in your brain, and you send off a positive charge of energy. This can be measured. And as you send off that positive energy, you take on an equal amount of like energy simultaneous to sending it off. Do you get the idea? As you send it out, you take it on. And you can set up a magnificent vibration. Now, I have people from time to time come to me and tell me how their place of work has a negative attitude. And I just look at them and I say, change it. They say, no, it's at work. I said, change it. Do you know that one person can change the whole world? One person changed my world. I might be one person that changes your world. And you know, you can change the world of the people that you deal with. You go around with a good attitude regardless of what's happening. W. Clement Stone in 1970 was the wealthiest man in the United States of America. He was a little guy that built a big insurance company. And he had a philosophy. In fact, Earl Nightingale made a recording of it. That's good. It didn't matter what happened. He'd say, that's good. And then he would instantly start looking for the good in it. See, everything is good in it, and everything is bad in it. What do you look for? That's what your attitude's going to be. Your attitude, now let's keep in mind, is our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Now think. It's the thoughts we think that we impress upon the subconscious mind that controls the vibration we're in, because whatever we impress must be expressed. This is a magnificent word. Attitude is really the key to everything you're ever going to achieve. Keep your attitude right. And if somebody else has a bad attitude, just move away from the person with the bad attitude. You can't change their attitude. You can certainly help them, but you can't do it for them. They've got to do it for themselves. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. But you can sure do it for you. Do you know, you want to become your best friend. And remember, Earl Nightingale was right. Attitude is the magic word, and the stick person is the genie. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you.
Bob has just stressed the importance of attitude. It really is the magic word, as Earl Nightingale says. It's going to determine where you go in life. It literally is the foundation of either failure or success. Your attitude's a composite of a number of things that are brought together. It's your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. It's energy that you send out that's easily picked up on by others. And whatever you send out is going to come back to you. Positive attitude, positive results. Negative attitude, negative results. It seems really simple, doesn't it? Your exposure to this powerful material over and over again, it will help you change your attitude and change your results. The attitude worksheet in your guide will really open your eyes to how your attitude controls everything you and your team do. Use and remember the attitude formula to take responsibility for your results. Thoughts plus feelings plus actions equal your results. Are you inspired to change the way you see the world? What do you choose to perceive differently right now? Hello, this is Sandy Gallagher welcoming you back into Lesson 10 of Thinking into Results. I have a question for you. Are you a leader or a follower? Before you answer, consider this. Do you know how to lead yourself? If you don't, you probably won't be a good leader for anyone else. I'm always hearing Bob say that he's both a leader and a follower. He knows when to lead and he knows when to follow. Before you can become a good leader, you have to be a good follower. Take the filming of this video training program, Thinking into Results. Bob was a follower. A star too, of course, but he was a follower. He said, you tell me what you want me to do, tell me what you want me to say, where you want me to be, and when, and I'm there. And then, when he's in his role as CEO of the holding company, he's telling us what to do. I think this is a really powerful lesson because it moves everyone towards a leadership role. It makes the leader an exceptional leader because they bring out the best in their people and get them to feel good about themselves. A powerful way of empowering others. Are you ready to step into the role of a leader? Stay tuned.
I want to share an idea with you that literally changed my life. It changed how I see the world. It changed how I work. It changed how I deal with other people. And it came out of my little book that I have never stopped reading. I've been reading this book, as I said, probably longer than you've been living. I started to read this particular copy in 1963, but I had another copy for a couple of years before that. Now, do you know, I would just wake up in the morning and I'd go and do whatever I thought I had to do. No thought to how I was going to do it. I would just get up and go through my routine. And then I started to study this book, and I came across this. Listen carefully. Napoleon Hill said, broadly speaking, there are two types of people in the world. One is known as leaders, and the other is known as followers. Decide at the outset whether you intend to be a leader in your chosen calling or remain a follower. Now, he said the difference in compensation is vast. Now, do you see, at that time, I was deep in debt. I really had no hope of getting out of debt, but I did have a goal of earning some money. And I was thinking of money. So when he said here, the difference in compensation is vast, that's when I got wired into what I'm reading. He said the follower cannot reasonably expect the compensation to which a leader is entitled, although many followers make the mistake of expecting such pay. Now, he said it's no disgrace to be a follower. On the other hand, it's no credit to remain a follower. Now, he said most great leaders began in the capacity of followers. They became great leaders because they were intelligent followers. With few exceptions, the person who cannot follow a leader intelligently cannot become an efficient leader. Now, do you know, I thought about that for a long time. I kept rolling it around in my mind, and of course, I was going to say I had chosen to do something different. I didn't choose it. Someone chose me. There was a man chose to help me. He saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. I guess today we would call him a coach or a mentor. He was just another man that spent some time talking to me. And he got me onto this book. And so I started to read this, and I was sharing this with him. Well, he said, Bob, you're just really beginning to wake up. And he said, you don't have a lot going for you on the surface, but you've got an enormous power going inside. And as you gain a better understanding, you can go anywhere and do anything you want. Now, you see, I was operating with the idea, because I didn't have any specific credentials, I had no formal education, no business experience, that I could never be a leader. Oh, he said, that's not true. He said some of the greatest leaders that ever lived never saw the inside of a school. Some of them were functionally illiterate, but they understood how to work with other people. I love the way Larry Wilson put it. He said, a leader is a person that has people following them because they want to. People want to follow them. The leader has a vision. They know where they're going, and their people buy into that vision. Now, I didn't understand that when Ray was going over this with me, but he said, Bob, what you want to do is follow what Napoleon Hill's talking about. Become an intelligent follower. Become the best follower that you're capable of becoming. Because you see, he pointed out in here, the person who isn't a good follower is never going to be a good leader. Now, this book led me to Earl Nightingale. It led me to study Earl Nightingale's material. Now, listen to this. In Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field program, and this is something that I have studied now for many, many years, since around 1962, Earl's talking about leading. And we can look at it today, leading in the new economy. You see, we're living in a different economy. The economy we're living in today isn't the economy that we were born into. He said every business, every organization, from the smallest to the largest, needs a leader. Now, you see, I already had this idea running around my head from the Think and Grow Rich book. So when I looked at that, he said every business, every organization, from the smallest to the very largest, needs a leader. He said they have committees, they are echelons of command, and perhaps a widely dispersed group of semi-autonomous divisions. But the overall company and each of its divisions must have strong and able leadership. Contrary to popular belief, you do not raise morale in an organization, it filters down from the top. The attitudes of the people working in any organization will always reflect the attitude of the leader. And finally, this leader will always be found to be just one person. Now that's important for you to understand. That's important for me to understand. I love the way Chris Haggerty put it one time. He's a management consultant out in the West Coast of America. He said the goal of most leaders, yes, to get the people to think highly of them as a leader. But he said the goal of the exceptional leader is to get the people to think highly of themselves. You know, Earl Nightingale told a story, and it's a story that I remember very clearly. I will paraphrase it, of course, but he talked about even during the Great Depression, when all the businesses had great big signs hanging outside, no help wanted. You know, when you see a company that has a sign saying no help wanted, what they're really saying is, we need help. Because a company is either growing or dying. And if it's growing, they're going to need good people. They're going to need more people. I remember when I went to work for the Nightingale Conant Corporation, I sat down with Lloyd Conant. I wanted to work with them. I wanted to work with them so bad because I knew I'd get an education that would be second to none. And I told Lloyd, I said, Lloyd, I've studied your company. The programs that they were marketing told you to do that. I said, I've studied your company and I've studied where you're going. He said, and I said, your company's growing. And I said, you need good people. And I said, I'm a good man. I said, I've got great habits. And I want to help you build this company. And do you want me to start today? Or would you prefer I wait till the middle of the month? He laughed and he looked at me and he said, and what would you expect to get paid for this job that you're going to get? I said, it really doesn't matter, Lloyd. I said, ultimately, I'm going to get what I'm worth. You just give me whatever you want. And that was true. See, if you're very valuable, they don't want to lose you. They're going to pay you. And if you're not very valuable, well, if they lose you, it doesn't really matter. Some people, when they leave, they don't even have to be replaced because they're not doing any consequence anyway. But the story that Earl was telling about during the Great Depression, he knew a man that could get a job anywhere he wanted. When most people would take any job they could get, they were just happy to have work. He would study a company, and he would study what they do. And then he would send a message to the president of the company. And he would say, you know, I have been studying your company, and I've been studying your industry, and in your company in particular, and I have some ideas that I believe you'll be very interested in that will substantially improve the bottom line on your financial statement. He said this guy could get an appointment with any executive he wanted because that's what all the executives were looking for. They were looking for someone that could lead them out of the situation they were in. And of course, he always got a job wherever he wanted. Well, you know, your organization is looking for leadership, for someone that sees himself as a strong leader. Now, a leader always has a great attitude. A leader will see the good in other people. They'll attempt to create a situation that brings out the good in the other people. The leader is the person that other people want to follow. You see, you can go and you can study this in Harvard or in Eton, but you bring it right down to the smallest and the simplest common denominator. It's a person that operates on a creative plane. It's a person that understands who they are. In other words, developing our own inner leadership. We've got to lead ourselves. And if we don't know how to lead ourselves, we'll never lead anybody else. So we're bringing leadership in this program down to the very basics. It's understanding who you are. It's taking control over your own life. It's having a good attitude regardless of what's going on outside. It's knowing that you have the creative ability and you have the capacity to create anything you want in your world, whether it's on an individual basis or in your team or in your corporation. See yourself as that person and always see the best in other people. Do you know there's far more room at the top than there ever will be at the bottom? Always. And you will just naturally gravitate to the top. These ideas on leadership that I've been studying for many years will not give you a brain hernia. They're simple ideas, but they're ideas that anybody can incorporate into the image they hold of themselves. Hill's talking about the major attributes of leadership. He talks about unwavering courage, you see. It's based upon the knowledge of self and one's occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence and courage. No intelligent follower will be dominated by a leader like that very long. You've got to have unwavering courage if you want to lead. You know, I like the way Earl put it one time. He said, the opposite to courage is not cowardice. It's conformity. It's just going along with the masses, doing whatever the masses are saying. The second point that Hill talks about being essential in leadership is self-control. If you can't control you, how are you going to lead? These are basic concepts. You'll find all these in Think and Grow Rich. In the chapter on organized planning, he said, another one is a keen sense of justice. You know, we say that God is a just God. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't believe that because they're letting what's going on outside dictate that. But if you study the laws of the universe, you're going to find that everybody gets exactly the same deal. The law is something that happens every time with every person everywhere. The law, in my opinion, is God's modus operandi. It's how the whole scheme of things is run. Well, you have to have a keen sense of justice. And he said, definiteness of decision. Do you know that most people never learn how to make decisions? They've got an idea and they know what to do, but they're looking for approval. That's why they're always saying, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? They're frequently asking people that don't think. and what they're going to get is an opinion. That's based on absolutely no knowledge. Do you know that every decision has an answer? It does. See, a decision, the opposite side of decision is procrastination. When you ask a question, the question has an answer. If you look up in Webster's dictionary, you'll see that a rhetorical question is a question without an answer. I've come to the conclusion that that's a statement, that's not a question. See, questions have answers, okay? Questions have answers. And when you ask a question, the answer's there. You got to be aware of it. And your awareness of the answer is usually the decision you make. But if we don't have the confidence that we require to lead, we're going to be running around saying, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? Do you want to follow somebody that's always asking other people, what do you think I should do? I don't think so. He's talking about definiteness of plans. You got to have some plans. You got to know where you're going. You got to know how you're going to get there. Now understand this. The plan can change. The goal cannot. You do not change the goal. You can change the plan. And since we're making the plans and we're not perfect, we are in essence, but we haven't brought the perfection to the surface. Some of the plans are going to be flawed and we'll have to change them. He said the habit of doing more than you're being paid for. You know, I studied this a long time ago. He said if you're not doing more than you're being paid for, you're never going to be paid for more than you're doing. It took me years to understand that. I'm not going to explain it beyond there. I want you to think about it the way I've thought about it. If you're not willing to do more than you're being paid for, you're never going to be paid for more than you're doing. Most people are waiting to get paid before they'll do it. That's like standing in front of a stove and saying, give me the heat and then I'll put on the wood. It won't fly. That dog won't hunt. You've got to understand these things. You have to have a pleasant personality. Who wants to follow someone that's got a mean and miserable personality? I don't think anybody does. These are basic laws of leadership. Sympathy and understanding. Sympathy and understanding. Understanding is really the key. Understanding is the polar opposite to worry and doubt. Understanding can only be accomplished one way, through study. There's no other way. Now, there's many forms of study. But if you want to lead, you must understand. You must understand who you are. You must understand the laws of your being. You have to understand the other person. And you'll never understand the other person if you don't understand yourself. Mastery of detail. Now, do you know what I've found? You don't have to master it yourself, but you have to have people that will. You have to have people that will. You've got to understand how to lead. These are all basics. willingness to assume full responsibility. See, responsibility is the key to freedom. I like the way Harry Truman had a little sign under his desk. It said, "The buck stops here." I take full and complete responsibility for the position that our company is in, because I'm the leader in the company. And if I'm not prepared to take responsibility, this company's not going to go very far, very fast. And cooperation. We have to learn how to cooperate. These are basics. They're basics that I don't know if you ever master them, but you can continually improve upon your ability to develop this within yourself. But let's go back to where we started. You are never going to be an effective leader if you're not a real intelligent follower. Don't be afraid to follow. Follow the effective leader. And you know what you're going to learn? You're going to learn how to lead. And pretty soon people are going to want to follow you. And that's when you're going to be the intelligent leader. And remember what Chris Haggerty said. The goal of most leaders is to get the people to think highly of them as a leader. But he said the goal of the effective leader is to get the people to think highly of themselves. Get people to fall in love with themselves. Help them understand who they are. And you'll never have a problem leading other people. And remember what Earl Nightingale said. Attitude filters down from the top. You don't raise morale. It filters down from the top. Keep yourself in tune with the higher side of your personality. And you know something? The energy that you send off is going to be the energy that you'll find come back to you. Become a great leader.
You know, I love the point Bob just made about leaders. He said the goal of the exceptional leader is to get people to think highly of themselves. Isn't that a great leadership principle? Understanding your role, both as a leader and a follower, is vital to your well-being at work. Don't be afraid to follow. Follow an effective leader, and you'll learn how to lead. Learn as much as you can about yourself, and you'll be an effective leader. Discuss this concept of leadership with your team. Performing the exercises in the guide will clarify your comfort level with leading and following. You may be surprised at your leadership potential. What kind of leader do you choose to be? Hello, this is Sandy Gallagher welcoming you back to Lesson 11 of Thinking into Results. We've given you a lot of tools so far that when applied will bring phenomenal results to you. Today we're talking about creating increase for you, not decrease, which comes when you compete with others. Let me explain. If you leave each person you meet with the impression of increase, a feeling of benefiting from their interaction with you, it will not only make that person feel better, but it also enriches your life, because doing this creates an energy that will flow through you to that person you're uplifting, and it'll make you feel better in the process. This is true customer satisfaction. Feel empowered to make the other person feel good. This may just be the lesson that's made the biggest impact on my life, on my law practice, on my friendships, literally everything, including building this company, Life Success Corporate. Because I'm constantly thinking about how I can leave the person I'm dealing with like they've got more from interacting with me. A richer, more fulfilling career and life are in your hands. Here's Bob to tell you how.
Hello there and welcome. Lloyd Conant, co-founder of the Nightingale Conant Corporation in Chicago, was a very dear friend of mine while he was alive, and I hold very fond memories of him. He really helped me understand how to get the best out of myself. And one day in 1968, I was sitting in his kitchen, and I asked Lloyd, I said, Lloyd, how did you start this company? Because Lloyd Conant and Earl Nightingale didn't just start a company, they started an industry. The self-help industry as we know it today. It's the largest distribution house of self-help material in the world. And so I was sitting there and Lloyd started to talk about a book he read. And he said, I studied this all weekend. It's called The Little Green Book. Well, all of a sudden, I wasn't interested in how he started the company. I wanted to know what this little green book was. See, I was into studying. I wanted to know, why did everything in the world happen the way it was happening? And he gave me a copy. It was called The Science of Getting Rich, and it was written by Wallace D. Wattles in 1903. It was, by the way, the book that inspired Rhonda Byrne to make that runaway hit movie, The Secret, that I was very fortunate enough to be in. And I began to study it. In chapter 14 in that book is something everyone should burn into their mind. It's leave every person you come in contact with the impression of increase. Now think about that. You want to leave everyone you come in contact with the impression of increase. If you just happen to be stopping by the water cooler, give the person that's there a compliment. But it's got to be sincere, merited praise. I'm not talking about flattery. That's pretty hollow and shallow. Do you know that everyone does something well? Start looking for what other people do well. Bring it to their attention. Let them know that you notice it. Give them an idea that inspires them. Leave every person you come in contact with the impression of increase. And if you see the best in other people, in other companies, in other situations and conditions and circumstance, you're going to be in a phenomenal vibration. You're just going to feel good all the time. Your whole world is going to improve. Bring that idea into your mind. Leave everyone you come in contact with the impression of increase. In other words, make them feel good because you have come in contact with them. It was one of the greatest rules that I've ever learned. The compensation that you get from developing that into your character is phenomenal. It goes beyond the scope of your imagination. If you want rich rewards, leave every person with the impression of increase. See, there is a science to getting rich, and I don't just mean money. I'm talking about all aspects of your life, an abundant life. We're dealing with an infinite source of supply. And the author of that book said, you do not get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things